Hey everybody, it's Sharon T. Sink, manager of Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green's Champions Office, just in case you didn't know that. It is January 7th, and we're going to have a seminar today on taking your business to the next level with an assistant and a little bit on adding a team. And we wanted to thank those of you that are home and not getting breakfast. The people that are here are, and Amy's going to visit a little bit with you today, just a few minutes about her products. So Amy, I'm going to scoot over here and sit there.
Good morning. Thank you, Sharon. I really appreciate being here today. Happy New Year. As you all know, I'm Amy Bedsell. I am your home warranty representative for American Home Shield. Very proud to be a partner with you guys. And I think we had a great last year, and thank you so much for helping us bring the business in the last 2 months of the year. I just really want to thank you for that. I know your workshop today is about how to decide whether you're ready for your business to add an assistant. And I just want you to know that I am your assistant. As many of you know, I'm just a phone call away. I'm here to help you and your clients. After the warranty has become effective, they can contact me and I will definitely assist them through the process. I will be gone next week for our annual sales conference, but I still will be available to you if you have any needs. So anyway, Happy New Year, and thank you very much, Sharon, for having me.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, the question is, do you need an assistant? How do you know if you need an assistant? I think one of the ways would be if this year right now you're looking at next year and you go, I'm exhausted, I don't know how I'm going to do it, you know, something's got to give, or you don't have enough personal time. So the reason for an assistant would be really to take your business to the next level, or to have some time to use the money that you're making on taking some time off. So those would be two. My experience has been that somewhere between 20 to 30 transactions a year, agents get bogged down. And even though we're paperless, somehow there's a piece of paper attached to every paperless file, and there's a lot of admin stuff to do. And so if you can't get that off of you, then there's no way to do more transactions if you're working as much time as you are. But also it would depend on how your mix is. If you're working with a lot of buyers or half buyers, time is not going to be your friend. So again, you're going to have somebody help you. So if your income's plateaued, etc., you're going to want to think of that. Well, and before you thought about hiring somebody, one of the things you would do is to think about what activities it is what you want them to do, because that's going to matter who you hire and if they're licensed or not. And we're going to talk about what they can do and if they should be licensed or not. The other thing is, are you willing to delegate? Delegating is something that a lot of people don't like to do. If you think that you're the only one that can do it and nobody can do it as good as you, and you don't want anyone to do anything for you, then you're not going to be really great at directing the activities of another person. And when you delegate, you know, I have been known to be the queen of the delegators, but when you delegate, people are going to make mistakes. They aren't going to be doing it the way you do it, but it's either one or the other. Either you don't delegate and you're just working yourself to death, or you do delegate and every once in a while they won't do it like you did, or they're going to make a mistake. You're going to own the mistake because they work for you. But I think really the only way to get to the next level would just get over it. That's what's going to happen. And then, do you have time to train somebody? Who's going to train them? Over the years, I promise you, I've seen people come in, oh, this is my friend, she's going to help me. Well, do they know what to do? And you may think about the fact that while you're training them, it's going to take you time. Your business that month may be less if you hire somebody because of that. But luckily here at Gary Green, we have a lot of people that could help you train them on systems and things like that. So that might not be as big of an issue. If they're licensed, they may already know some of the stuff. They might know MLS. They might know the back agent. If they're not, they won't. Okay, what can assistants do? And that's why one of the reasons you would think about, do we have them licensed or we have them not licensed? You have a handout if you're at home. It was emailed to you, but let me just go over some of these. TRAC has been cracking down about what unlicensed people can do. They cannot have an open house and not say anything. That's what we used to do. They can't open a house one last time to do the walkthrough. Anything that would be considered, I would say, brokerage, they can't do. But they can, there's a list, process new listings, that's the paperwork part, send out mailings, place advertising, schedule listings, order inspections, photograph listings, update clients, write ads, prepare comparables, take it from closing, from contract to closing, dealing with the title company, mortgage company, check MLS, they can't call anybody, check newspapers, etc. So the question is the licensee better for you or not? And again, if you don't know what you're going to have them do, you don't know what to choose. Licensed people, which you'd be happy to know, usually make more money than unlicensed people. So, you know, you have to decide that on what you're going to pay them, but they can also do more because, you know, it may be worth the extra money in order to have them be able to hold an open house at the last minute or show that one last house or something like that. There's no right or wrong. It just depends on what you want them to do, how much you want to pay, and you know, and the right person. And the right person's really, really important. So let me go a little bit about how to find the right person. It bothers me a lot when people come in, oh, this is my neighbor. I mean, there's some great neighbors. If you have a neighbor, I don't want to say they're not, but, oh, they're going to come in and they're going to help me. Well, you know, my concern is, you know, you like them and they're nice and friendly, but do they have the skills to do what you need them to do? Generally, you hire to your weakness, not to your strength. People like to hire people like themselves because they like themselves best. So let's say that you are outgoing and you're friendly and you aren't a detail person, but people love you, okay? Well, do you need two people like that? Probably you need somebody that's detail oriented, that is quick, that has good computer knowledge, and that'll just get their head down and get the job done quickly, right? It makes a difference. And those could be two different skill sets. It could be that the person that's more likely, like real estate agents are notorious for being people. They like to chat. They like to be out and about. But I'm here to say you don't necessarily want an assistant that's chatting all over the office, right? You want to be sure that they get that done. How do you find them? Here's what they say. You hire slowly and fire quickly. And most of us do the opposite. Most of us hire the first person that walks in that we think is nice, and then they don't do the job that we want them to do, but we don't want to let them go because we don't hurt their feelings. But again, all of a sudden, if you have an assistant, you're a boss and you're running a business, and that you can be friendly, but they are your employees and their goal is not to be your buddy, but to help you get your business to the next level. If that doesn't happen, then all you've done is spend more money, but you haven't achieved the goal of getting more business or more time off. And I'm saying this to you because first time I hired somebody way back when I was at Champion School of Real Estate, I put an ad in and I interviewed everybody that came in, and I was talking to my sister who was in the HR, and I said, oh, I'm so busy, I'm interviewing. She said, you're interviewing every single person that applied for the job. And I'm like, yeah. She said, you don't interview everybody that applies for the job. You decide what you want. You ask them to send you their resume, or they fill out an application. Then you look at the applications and you decide which of the ones you are most interested in. Then you can interview them over the phone. And then if they meet the criteria that you want over the phone, and you may Over the phone would be good because they're going to be talking possibly to your clients, even if they're not licensed, and you want them to sound right. You want them to sound competent. And so you want to do that, and then you bring them in. Check references. You may say, well, isn't everybody going to have somebody that says they're great? Actually, no. If somebody is really bad, they're going to have a really hard time finding anybody telling you they're good or not. Now, sometimes there are laws about what you can say about people and not say about people, but the best one would be say, would you hire this person again? Right? And then when you're interviewing them and interviewing them, there are things you can say and things you can't say. Again, you can't say, how old are your children? Because I'm not going to hire you if, you can't say that because it's discrimination, right? But you can say, can you think of any reason other than your own illness that you wouldn't be able to be here? Right? Does that make sense? Because showing up is 90% of it. You can't have somebody that you think is going to be there and then they're not there. It's going to just throw everything into a tizzy. Again, think about it. So you're interviewing. I would maybe post something at Champion School of Real Estate, possibly let your fellow real estate people know you're looking, because if they have any knowledge of real estate, and or if you want them licensed, it's going to save in the time. Like, for example, if they've even done one transaction in real estate and they know what closing document looks like, or contract, they're going to be able to find out some stuff that you need quicker than if they don't. But they can learn it, but you might want to know that. So basically, if they're unlicensed, then they can't negotiate, they can't offer homes for sale, etc. So when you think about this, when you're hiring, the people that are real estate agents, real estate brokerages makes the most money. Hopefully, we think we make more per hour. So somebody that's doing an admin, you want them to take that off of you. You want to be able to not lick envelopes or not meet the photographer out there. And so when you're making a list of what they can do, think about anything that doesn't take a real estate license, even if they are licensed. And then you have the time to be on the listing presentation or be with buyers, because that's how you make money. I hope that kind of makes sense. Okay, again, can you delegate? Basically, I'm trying to find this on this sheet, so to make sure I'm catching everything. But also when you're delegating, make sure that the job, you don't expect more than the person can do. There's going to be a ramp up training time. And then I remember, this is an example not to do, that a long time ago I had a top producer. He had an assistant that was working till 5 o'clock. She'd run in at 4:30 with a whole pile of stuff to do, and was unhappy because the person that was her assistant didn't want to stay and do it. But people aren't real estate agents because they want to leave the office at 5 o'clock and not even think about it again. That's why they're not real estate agents. So it's not right to expect somebody that is hourly or an assistant to work the hours you work. I mean, there may be a few exceptions. There's, again, licensed and unlicensed. Just from the National Association of Realtors, 51% of the people that are real estate assistants are licensed. The rest are unlicensed. So it isn't right or wrong. It just depends. I think that a lot of people, when they're growing their business, the first thing they add is an assistant, possibly that's not licensed. And then the next addition would be a licensed assistant that might help you as a buyer's broker or do some of the brokerage, or a team member, right? But before you're adding a team, you might want to think maybe the team member is going to do some of the admin stuff, but you want to see if that's how you want it to work. How do you compensate them? Basically, if they're not licensed and they're doing admin, it depends on how many hours you do and then actually what the market will bear. And it depends on what you're asking them to do. If you're just asking them to do data entry, they may work for less. I'm throwing this out here, and our coordinator's sitting here and she's probably thinking nobody would work for that. But I'm saying somewhere around 15, 16. What's the minimum wage now? It's like 8 or 9 in the suburbs. You know, if they have to drive to Woodway and Sage, like the corporate department, they're not going to do that for less. If you're doing part-time, sometimes moms want a few hours a day, and if they can do it close to home and it isn't expensive, then they might do that. So you can pay them hourly. Now, there are labor laws. So if you're paying them more than a certain hours, like if you're hiring them, not sure what the hours are, but they may qualify for overtime. So you need to find out if they're working 40 hours and then they work 41 or 42, you might have to have overtime. If you have a full-time employee, they get benefits. They might get benefits. I think as an independent contractor, I'm not an expert at the laws, because you only have one employee, you may not fall under that, but usually they get vacation, they get overtime, they get leave, family leave, so you need to decide if that's how you want to, that's what you want to do. I would say if you don't have an assistant, start with a part-time assistant. Because if you've never directed the activities of another person, and then you don't exactly know how much you're going to use them, you don't want somebody sitting there 8 hours a day and then they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs because they don't know what to do or what you want them to do. You might start in the beginning in the summer, which is your busiest time, with a college student or a high school student, even if you're just going to have them do data entry, etc. And so you may start like that. The question is, are they hourly or are they going to get a piece of your commission? If they're licensed, then, and you pay them per transaction, they might be able to get a commission. That goes into the tax laws of independent contractors, which you are, because you're a real estate agent. So you get the commission, and then you deal with the IRS and pay your 15% of FICA withholding. You've got to pay quarterly, etc. If you have an assistant, then you've got to check with your CPA and withhold. You're going to pay, I don't know if it's, I think it's 7.5% of your FICA for them. They don't pay it all. You pay it all. They don't, right? For the withholding, your employee pays for it. So again, you've got to make sure that you're withholding enough. But there's rules for independent contractors, etc. So if you have a licensed person and they're doing some admin, some brokerage, and it's considered brokerage, you might be safe paying them off of your commissions and paying them a percent. If not, most admins aren't independent contractors, according to the IRS. So we don't want to go into detail here too much, but if they have to be there at a certain time, if they have to do what you're telling them to do, they're not independent contractors, right? And the IRS you don't want the IRS on your back. So for example, if you pay them like I talk to people that just start writing people checks out of their checkbook, and then, oh, I didn't know there were any laws. I didn't know the IRS, so you have to, at the end of the year, give them either a W-2 or 1099 to show how much you paid them. And then if they're, if you treat somebody as a 1099 independent contractor and you're audited and the IRS thinks that they're not independent contractors and you have it paid in that 7.5%, they're going to make you pay it. Like you've already paid the money to the person that worked for you, but now you're going to have to write a check to them. So again, you just don't want to get into any of this. CPAs help you all the time. They're admin staff type things. They'll do the withholding, they'll do the payroll, they'll do the hours, they make sure that you're compliant on all the rules. So you know you might want to do that. Again, you might want to start with somebody that's licensed. Now, you can give an unlicensed person bonuses. So when you think about what to pay, this is what I want you to think about. Let's say that last year you did 5 or 6 million on your own. You did 25 deals, right? Okay, the reason you'd hire somebody is to get you over those 25 or 30 deals and get over the 5 or 6 million. So lots of times agents will say, okay, I'm going to pay you this, but if you can get me over that amount, then you'll get a bonus per transaction. You can get a bump up. Does that make sense? So that they don't, so that at the end of the year, you don't go, oh, great, they made a bunch of money, I made less, it was just a big hassle. So again, you can have some kind of a bonus structure, either whether they're licensed or unlicensed based on, and then you can always have a salary, and then if 1 month they went the extra mile, they did some extra things, you could always give them a bonus without tying yourself into an hourly wage that if you have a bad month or it isn't the way you thought it would be, that you're stuck paying somebody too much. So, you know, I'd love to visit with you when you structure it. And then too, remember this, people always want raises. So what happens is real estate agents make a lot of money. I mean, you do. Why? Because you work in the evening, you don't get paid. Okay, so you think that if you're paying somebody $25 an hour, you may think, well, who'd work for that? Well, people that don't want to work weekends and evenings, people that want benefits, people that want to walk out the door and not think about it, right? And so then people like yourself, so you could start with, we're going to try this for 6 months. I'm going to pay you X number of dollars. After the 6 months, we'll review it. And if it works out, we'll bump you up to the next level. Does that kind of make sense? I would suggest maybe a trial period, particularly if you're hiring a friend, to say, let's try this. You don't know if you're going to like it. I don't know if I'm going to like it. Let's do it for 6 months. If at the end of the 6 months, we can both say, we don't have to give a reason. We don't have to say, I like you as a friend, but you're a crabby boss. We don't have to say any of that. You know, you just walk in and say, you know, this is a trial. It's our 6 months. And I don't think it's working. And then you can maybe stay friends without having to, it may work even if you like each other, but it's just not working the way you want it. If it's not working, get rid of that person. Think of it as a business. You are a boss. Now you're an employee. I might have talked you out of having an assistant, but again, it's a great way to start building your business. And I know those of you that are listening to this do probably think of your business as a business, not a hobby, not just whatever happens, happens. Okay. We did an independent contractor. I went ahead and added, if it's okay, I think we have some time, about just saying, are you ready for a team? Because the assistant, I think most of you that think of assistants are thinking that. So pretty much if you hire somebody that's an agent that you want to help you on a team, you probably ought to have somebody getting the paperwork off of you both first, unless somebody is going to do both for a while. Do you have enough business that you are losing leads? If you want to do a team, this is what people come in and say to me. I'm at 6 or 7 million level. I want a team so that I can do 12 million. But, and I had somebody say to me once, I'm not going to put anybody on my team that doesn't do 7 million. I said, why would anybody want to be on your team if they did 7 million? They'd be doing it themselves, right? So the idea of a team is that you're not doing all your leads. You have so many leads that they're falling through the cracks. And a team member is going to hopefully bring some of their own business in, but mainly they're looking at the team leader to provide them leads. And that's why they want to be on a team. And then you're looking at it like, you know, I know there's probably, I don't even want to think about how many internet leads get blown off by our agents because they don't have time to work internet leads, right? Or their property calls, they follow up once and then it's gone. So if you're in the part that you've got business that you're not being able to take care of, then you might want to do it. Again, are you willing to, you've got another person, you end up, there's team leaders that are kind of like branch managers, small branch managers. They have meetings with their team. They have expectations. They have accountability. They talk about what their business is. You can't just have people running around. You've got to, and if that's not your skill set, if you're not good at that, then you can get good at it. But again, you might want to start a small. Okay, and then again with team members, it just depends on, you just have to have an agreement about how it works. And probably teams look as different as all of the teams that are out there. It depends on what your expectations are, what their skill level is, what they want to do. A lot of times agents don't want to be on teams because they don't build up their personal business. But then sometimes people are going to make more if they're on a team because their personal business is smaller. Okay, there's a consideration too about where are they going to sit. Is there room for them to sit? Are they going to be at home? If they're at home, then how do you know what they're doing, right? And then let's see. And then also with the team, I'm just doing this very quickly as an add-on, but I would say have an exit strategy. What happens if it doesn't work? Let's say that you have a team and then in a year, the person says, you know, I don't want to be on a team anymore. What about the pendings? Whose clients are, does this client belong to? Who's going to take credit for the production? How are we going to split it? So it's good to think about that ahead of time, because then you're not in some kind of a problem and have a hassle. So you want to, you know, again, just write it all down so there's no confusion about it. Because here's the thing, you hire the wrong people, you have the wrong team member, you're doing it to make your life easier and to make more money, and you end up losing money, and it's a big, huge, fat hassle added on to your real estate hassles. So again, I suggest you do it. I think you should do it, but do it thoughtfully and do it you know, the right way. Are there any questions before? Any questions? Or yes.
Something. So if you get an assistant, but they are not licensed and they can only do certain things, but they can go and do like look up FSBOs
Yes.
and expired.
Yes.
Do you get, how are they allowed to come under your access on the MLS?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The question was, can somebody that's an unlicensed assistant access your MLS? You know, I'm not an MLS expert. I just know that our staff that aren't licensed access the MLS for the office. And actually, one of our staff had a license, and they turned it in because they were going to have to, if they were licensed and HAR members, they were going to have to pay their own MLS dues, etc. So you want to check into that. But generally, they allow, MLS allows for a certain number of admins under a person, so they should be able to do that. I hope that those of you are still at home, that she asked if an unlicensed person could use your MLS in order to access HAR, I mean the MLS, etc. Any others? Okay, I'd love to help you. If there's anybody listening to this, I'd love to coach you further on it. I'd love to help you interview people, figure out exactly what to do. If you know, I'm more than willing to do that and point you in the right direction for some of the details on it. Okay, that's it then. We did.